Good evening, Hawks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Atlanta Sports District. I am your host, Russell Spence, coming to you directly after our seventh straight victory, a 124 to 112, kind of actually a nail biter against the Dallas Mavericks. Very interesting game. Going to get into kind of how everything unfolded today, but generally wanted to say it's kind of amazing to me how poorly we played and survived. I don't expect us to play that bad and win many of the games that we play that bad. It is an anomaly to defend as poorly as we did for a lot of the night. We defended the 3 point line very poorly against some players that you cannot leave. Played very well for one quarter and for a small portion of another quarter, and that was good enough to get it done because they're honestly not a very good team. That is, a very long losing streak for them as well. And so they're young. They don't really know how to win. They really only have two veterans. But tonight was a big proponent of if we play like that, we will lose against any team that is half decent. I look at the teams that are ahead of us in the standings. Orlando is on a tear. Miami has been on a tear. There have been adjustments made by these teams to help them start winning games. Tonight, Bam Adebayo had 83 points. I mean, we cannot play this poorly and expect to beat teams that are as talented as those teams. And those are the teams we need to beat to get to where we need to go. So let's talk about what went right, what went wrong, and how we can remedy those things that went wrong in order to hopefully drive some success against these better teams that we're again going to be facing very soon. We have Orlando on Monday, right? So getting into it, the first quarter was fantastic. A really, really wonderful first quarter. The defense was really good for the majority of the quarter. The offense was awesome in the first quarter. Ball was moving around like crazy. Looked like we were playing ping pong, and we were making shots. Everything was going well. And I think that kind of lulled us into a false sense of security because then we played absolutely putrid from quarter two until about halfway through quarter four. The team was just lackadaisical. They weren't focused. They were turning the ball over a little bit more than they should have. They were leaving shooters open, as I said. And again, it's not just like shooters. It's Klay Thompson, like a top three shooter to ever touch a basketball. You're talking about like Chris Middleton, leaving a guy who is a wonderful veteran, was a huge proponent on that Bucks team of winning a championship. These players that they make the difference between winning and losing, and they have in their careers for years. We're leaving those guys open. What are you doing? It's just a lack of focus. And I think what happened was we went in there in the first quarter, we played so well, and then we said, we're going to blow these dudes out. They've got nothing for us. And then they did have lots of things that could really hinder our ability to play well. They have Cooper Flag, who he did struggle offensively tonight, but was very good passing the basketball. Defensively, he was very good, rebounded the ball very well. And you look up and Klay is killing us, and Chris Middleton is killing us, and we're not guarding Brandon Williams. It fell apart in the middle of the game. And then at the end of the game, we had the same thing that we had last game. Jalen Johnson said, I do not want to lose this game, and he took over at the end of the fourth quarter. He was the closer. He was the catalyst. He made it happen. And from that point on, we won the game pretty significantly and ended with this 12-point score that you're seeing, where if you're just looking at a box score, you say, oh, Atlanta took care of business, everything is good. No, we did not play well. And the way we were able to just take the game over in the fourth quarter frustrates me as a person who takes in every single Hawks game, because I watched every second of this game, and a lot of it was like, let me rip my hair out. let me go, punch a kitten. That's what it felt like. And then we proved that we were that much better than them that quickly. Kind of unacceptably, in my opinion. So, moving forward, let's be that team that kicked the crud out of them in the second half of the fourth quarter and for the entire first quarter, instead of the team that just kind of waltzed around on the court and didn't play the way Hawks teams should play basketball. We talk about the Hawks DNA. Part of Hawks DNA is playing for all 48 minutes, no matter your opponent. That's what I would be wanting to instill in my players, and that did not happen tonight, and that is unacceptable, even in a win, even in a seventh straight win. I don't care about beating teams we should beat, which is what we have done on this winning streak. We've beaten the teams we should beat. I care about taking it to the teams that we are equal to or even considered to be less than in terms of what like a betting market would put. If we're not going to be the favorites, I want to know how do we beat those teams. And playing like we did tonight, you don't get that done. So, moving to the offense and defense. Tonight we had honestly an awful showing for a large majority of the game. It didn't pop out in terms of the final score when it came to defense. Because if you look at our final defensive rating, it's probably pretty okay. I don't really care about that. Because again, the meat of the game was really bad defensively. A lot of mental errors, a lot of lapses, a lot of overhelping and not trusting your teammates and not rotating and not getting out to shooters. It was very bad defensively for a large majority of this game. And when you put that into context, where you say the defense was really bad for a large majority of this game, and we still had a pretty decent defensive rating, that tells me that during those times, that first quarter and that end of the fourth quarter, when the defense was really good, it was so good that it saved the overall number. So how good could it have been? We could have beaten this team 130-90. That's how much better we are than this roster. But instead, we had to grit and grind a win out because we weren't mature enough to play hard for all 48 minutes. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand. I want us to play that hard so that when it comes to the end of the game, the last 6 minutes of the game, our dudes who are never getting to see the court, Keaton Wallace, Caleb Houston guys, they get in the game and they get to go, oh, now Jalen's rested and Nikhil's rested and Onyeka, who's been way overplayed, is rested. We get to do that. We get to reward our players with rest. But instead, we didn't get to do that because we took a team that we should have beaten and we played down to their level. And that is never acceptable. Offensively, we played pretty okay, but again, there were a lot of times in this game where it was sloppy. There were turnovers. There were things that should not have been happening. There were, quick threes being put up rather than working for a good shot. Just sloppy play. And yes, we won. We beat a bad team who's lost 8 in a row. Congrats. If you didn't win this game, I would be absolutely furious. But the fact that the game was tied midway through the fourth quarter is not an acceptable outcome. This is not a team who should be competing with us. And so, I'm not exactly happy about winning a 7th straight game. Now, obviously, I'm happy we've won 7 straight. We've been playing very well. But this particular game, it was not instilling a lot of confidence in my ability to project what's going to happen going forward. So I'm not an enjoyer of that. I will say a lot of the offense went well when we decided to play through Jalen tonight. And I will say that is probably because they don't have a Jalen covered guy. If it's the Bucks, they have a Giannis, and he can kind of help against Jalen. Against a Boston has Tatum, and he can kind of help. He's similar in size. Flag, though tall, is a rookie and is a young rookie who reclassified. He is very thin compared to Jalen. Now, again, his defense was quite good tonight, but in moments when Jalen had the ball and was running the offense and wanted to, he went straight to the rim and he scored the ball over and over and over again because they're like, okay, our two options are Cooper, who's right now too skinny, or like Marvin Bagley could guard him, PJ Washington, who's like 4 inches or 5 inches shorter than Jalen. Like, we can't take Daniel Gafford off of Kongwu because that would be bad. So they didn't really have an option to stop him. And so when we leaned into that, especially at the end of the fourth quarter, he just took the game over. Maybe do more of that. Now, I will say, I thought the offense kind of flowed better when we were able to play through Jalen and when they would blitz us. Like when they would blitz Jalen, we would get it out of his hands and then we would put him as the primary guy, as the screener and roller in that short roll. And that's just where he's honestly kind of unstoppable if you can get him the ball in that short roll. And that worked really well too. That's one thing that I say is like, okay, if they're going to blitz you, like when Trey would get blitzed, I would say if they're going to blitz you, you have to find ways of making your best player not be obsolete. Like that was one of the things that Nate McMillan struggled with, was like they're blitzing Trey and it was just like Trey gets the ball out of his hands and he never gets it back and we never run any sort of action that helps him to beat that blitz. Okay, how are we going to remedy that? Well, in my opinion, if we're going to try to remedy that for Jalen, the best way to do it is make him the screener. If you're going to blitz, well, then Jalen's going to get the ball in the short roll and he's going to murder your defense. And that happened tonight. But then if you don't blitz, Jalen screens for the guy and he gets a nice open driving lane from the screen. And you give up points that way too. It's a way to say, yes, we want the ball in Jalen's hands a lot of the time. But if you're going to make that not a possibility, well, we have other options that still will massacre what you're trying to do. That was a great adjustment from the Hawks coaching staff, and I think a lot of the Hawks players on the fly. Like that wasn't a play that was called. It was just like they blitzed Jalen. He got the ball out of his hands really fast, and then Jalen went straight to the guy, and they set a screen, went into a short roll. He caught it, and he threw a lob to somebody, or he, fine Dyson on a back cut, or he dunked it, that sort of thing, where it was kind of like an on-the-fly freelance kind of thing, but it's a very, very adequate adjustment to make against that sort of coverage. So that was fantastic from the offense. Now, moving to the player-by-player section, we have an interesting game to talk about from multiple players. Tonight, Gabe Vincent got minutes, and I actually heavily agreed with Gabe Vincent playing in this game. He played 11 minutes. He had 8 points on 3 of 4 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, and 1 assist with no rebounds. He finished the game -8. And I know that looks bad in terms of plus minus. But we're going to talk about why that's not as bad as it might look because of a guy later on. But honestly, he was more like a +5 because he played with Jock Landale all of his minutes and Jock almost all of his minutes. Jock was -13. So when he wasn't playing with Jock, he was about +5. And this is the kind of team where I look at and I say, Gabe Vincent needs to play because they have Ryan Nembhard coming off the bench. They have Brendan Williams coming off the bench, guys that can really put the ball in the hole and are going to have the ball a lot when they're on the floor because they're facilitators. Having that pressure from Gabe Vincent on the ball, very helpful. And so then he was able to then back that up with making a couple of shots and helping us offensively as well. The offense is still not great from him in terms of like he turned the ball over a couple of times. He had some miscues, I'll say, but in general, made shots, played good defense, was a positive player tonight. Very well done. Moving on, we're going to talk about Mo Gay. We gotta play this guy more, guys. I mean, come on. He's so good at basketball and doing the dirty, gritty stuff that just doesn't. Players aren't willing to do it ever, and he just does it every night. He had 10 minutes, 9 points in 10 minutes, 3 of 4 shooting, 0 of 1 from 3, 5 rebounds, no assists, no turnovers, no steals, no blocks. But the defense was awesome. And even though he was sharing the court with Jock Landale, who I already said was minus 13 in a 12-point win, he was minus 2. Now, I'm not going to harp on Jock too much. Like I said, this is another team where they have Daniel Gafford, they have Marvin Bagley, they have these guys who are huge under the basket, and that is a struggle for Jock when he can't bully ball the other, the opposing center. But when you have a player who's playing as poorly as Jock Landale was playing tonight, and then you have a player who is playing as well as Mo Gay was playing, stop playing Jock and play Mo. That was mind-blowing to me. I'm going, you can't be serious. He's been so bad all night long. And Mo he can play the 5. Like, he's not like primarily a 5. He's better as a 4, but he can play the 5. I was dumbfounded when Jalen came back in the fourth quarter after Mo had kept us afloat. We were playing really poorly, and Jalen comes back in and he gets Mo. I was like, if you have a brain in your head, you have to take out Jock there and leave Mo in the game. That is ridiculous. And so I understand that Jalen is a 4. Primarily his best position is at the 4. I agree with that sentiment. And I also understand that Mo is a 4, and his best position is at the 4. And that makes getting Mo minutes difficult because Jalen is so good. And so he needs to play a lot. I get that. But Jalen can play the 3. Like, feasibly, he's a good shooter. He's a good ball handler. He's a good passer. And Mo can play the 5. Like, is it perfect? No, but he can rebound. He's great at defending the rim. He makes a big impact in terms of defensive organizing. He's good at the dirty, like, dark arts of screening and setting those dribble handoff picks and things like that. He's good at that stuff. He can play the 5. So if it comes down to it and you're going, our best guys to be on the floor right now are not Jock. Or, Zach struggled tonight. Especially defensively. He had a rough night defensively. You look at that and say, maybe you have to play Jalen at the 3 some, and maybe you have to play Mo at the 5 some. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to lead us to wins, is if we can find the best lineups to put on the floor at the right times. And I come back to that's been the problem under Quinn Snyder. He just has not been able to pick the right dudes to put on the floor at the right time. And I understand we won this game by 12. But we easily could have lost this game. This game was tied through the middle of the fourth quarter. That's crazy. And it would have been all on the back of the decisions that were made. We can't continue to do that. Play Mo Gay more. I don't get it. Dude had 9 points in 10 minutes and played great defense. Play him. Moving on. Going to talk about Jock Landale. Jock played 15 minutes. He had no points on none of 5 shooting. 0 of 3 from 3. 3 rebounds, 1 assist with 3 fouls. And was minus 13. I think I just made my case for what I would have done tonight. I like Jock in the future, but tonight was rough. And he shouldn't have played as much as he played. Give those minutes to Mo. Thank you. Moving on, we're going to talk about Zachary Richase. So Zach had rough game. He had played 17 minutes. He had 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting, 0 of 1 from 3. 3 rebounds, no assists, 1 turnover, and 3 fouls, and finished minus 11. Klay Thompson cooked him. That's basically what happened. Defensively, he got beat up by a veteran, and that happens. And, he's going to move on from that. He's still not playing with much confidence on offense. That's got to turn around. I think that's work to be done in the offseason. But in general, it was a rough one, and hopefully he can pick it up next game. Like I said, I might have played Jalen more at the 3 and given Mo some of those minutes for Jock and Zach tonight, just because Mo is playing so well and those guys really not playing well. Lastly, off the bench, we're going to talk about Corey Kispert. So he played 15 minutes. He had 2 points on 1 of 3 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3. Did not record another stat. Got lots of great cardio. And he finished, let's see here, minus 1. He was fine, but really didn't make a difference on the floor. He was just there. So good job. I mean, he was fine defensively, didn't really do much offensively, didn't turn the ball over. I'll take it. In 15 minutes off your bench, and he was not the reason we were not playing well. Moving to the starters, CJ McCollum had a pretty rough game. He played 28 minutes had 13 points on 5 of 15 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. He had 9 rebounds, actually, which I did not realize. 4 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, and finished plus 17. The starters destroyed their starters. So again, it was more like who played off the bench that was the problem, and how much they played and when they played. But CJ just had a rough game efficiency-wise, and just needs to be a little better in that regard. Moving on, we're going to talk about Dyson Daniels. So Dyson played at 36 minutes. He had 14 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 0 of 2 from 3, and 2 really ugly ones. 7 rebounds, 10 assists, played fantastic defense with 3 steals, and was plus 20. He had Cooper Flagg in the bottomless pit of despair. And, I mean, he's fantastic. He just got to work on his shot, and we all know that, but it's going to come around. I really do believe that. I think he's a hard worker. He's going to figure it out. Moving on, we're going to talk about Onyeka Okongwu. So Onyeka played 33 minutes. He had 18 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, and finished plus 25, a game best. Onyeka was very good defensively. He had multiple really insane blocks. I mean, he had 4 blocks in the game with only 1 steal. He was fantastic. I mean, he made Gafford look like an nincompoop a couple of times, especially on offense. And it was just funny because that was kind of, we were looking at Gafford to trade for him. I was like, well, if this is what Gafford is compared to Onyeka, maybe we didn't need him. So really, really great stuff from Onyeka tonight. Kept the ball moving, didn't turn the ball over, was very helpful, did a lot of the dark art stuff, as I was saying. Really great stuff. Next, we're going to talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So Naw played 37 minutes. He had 29 points on 12 of 19 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, did have 4 turnovers, got to bring that number down, but had 2 steals and a block and finished plus 19. He was fantastic. I've been saying it all year, he's exactly what we've needed. He's been absolutely killing it, and I could not have asked for him to play better this season. And tonight he was a lot of the catalyst of why we won. And lastly, we're going to talk about Jalen Johnson. So Jalen didn't play very well, honestly, for the majority of the game. And then in the fourth quarter, he went crazy. He had 38 minutes. He scored 27 points on 10 of 18 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, only 1 turnover, had a steal and 2 blocks, finished plus 14. But again, he played a lot of those Jock Landale minutes. He was probably plus 20, a lot more than that. He was really fantastic. It looked like the best player on the floor, wasn't even close. Looked like he could have been the best player in the NBA today if Bam Adebayo didn't drop 83. I mean, he just really, really played truly fantastic, took the game over, handled the game, was the catalyst for the victory, really and truthfully. And he's playing at an all NBA level. He's got to keep it up, but that's what he's playing at. So moving forward, we've got the Brooklyn Nets on Thursday. That's another one we should hopefully win, turn it into 8 in a row. That would be really helpful. And, just keep playing well. This is all I really have to say about this game. I think I've talked enough about how we should have played better, but we did get a win, and that's a good thing. We keep moving up in the standings, and that's really helpful. Please like, comment, and subscribe here on the podcast. Let me know your thoughts about how we're playing and whether or not you thought this was a letdown game, or if maybe I'm out of touch with things, how we really should be playing and how our roster is really talent-wise. Hit me up on all the socials. It's at Atlanta's ATL Sports District. They're on everything. And just, let me know your comments there. And, just drop me a line. I'm always down to have a discussion about things. Share the podcast with a friend. And above everything else, I hope you have a great day.